Tutorial number 5, Adding and Editing Music and Soundtracks in Adobe Premiere Pro CS6. In this tutorial, we're going to go over how to add music to a rough cut. In this example, we have our rough cut. It is laid out in order, in the order that we are going to be putting music to, and we'll be creating soft little cuts throughout the entire footage to make it match our horror theme. In another tutorial, we'll talk about how to change the color and adding transitions as we go through. In this example, we're just going to create an exact copy of our rough cut. We're going to go in and right-click on rough cut and click duplicate. In this case, we are going to rename that to soundtrack edit, or you can also name that rough cut 2. In this case, we have a soundtrack edit ready to go. We're going to pull that up, and now we just need to add our music. In this edit, we've already gone in and done a few different transitions, and we've added in a couple extra effects to our footage. So now we just need to add in our music and adjust accordingly as we go. To find music, we're actually going to go to find some royalty-free music, and in this case, we're going to go to Free Music Archive. So we're going to pull up our website. We're just going to go to Free Music Archive in here. Now, if we want to find genres of music that we want to use, we're going to go up to Genre, and we can choose in any of these different genres to find music that's in there. If we click on Instrumental, for example, we'll see lots of different types of music that's in here, and it's classified here as sound effects, noise, experiment, or jazz, classical, instrumental, etc., as you go through. And it'll say the album that it was on, the track title, and who it's by. You can listen to any of these by clicking on this play button and listening to a portion of the music. In this case, we're only going to be using music that goes along with our horror theme, so we can search for scary or horror. When we type in horror, it brings up a couple of pages. There's 97 tracks found that have the keyword horror written into them. And as we go through and listen to a few of them, as we find ones that we like, we can either add them to a player to listen to later and choose which ones we want to download, or we can download them directly. If we go in and download them directly, they'll show up in our downloads folder, and we'll be able to move those into our project file. So we're going to go to our downloads folder. I've already found and downloaded a couple of pieces of music that we want to use. So we're going to drag those over into our hard drive, and our hard drive is going to open up. We're going to drop those into the correct folder within our folders. Notice that they're opening on the side over here. I'm going to drop this down into soundtrack. We're going to go ahead and open up our soundtrack folder here. And you can see all three of them have moved over. Notice that they do have the name of the artist on them so that we can appropriately give them credit in our footage later. We're going to go ahead and go back into Adobe Premiere Pro, and we're going to double click in this panel over here to find those audio tracks. Again, going back to our hard drive and finding the appropriate folder. I'm just going to click once on the outside of that folder, and we're going to import the entire folder as it is. And we're going to take a quick listen to a couple of these. You can notice when you open it up, it opens up into your source panel here, and it'll show you the wavelengths of how this music goes. And you can listen to a bit of it as you go. It sounds like it's probably going to be something we're going to use a little bit later in the footage, so let's take a look at what the next one is. If you want to listen further into the footage, you can always pull it over and listen to it a little bit later. Again, still sounds like something we're probably going to use a little bit later, so let's take a look and see what the third one sounds like. Based on the way our footage is going, I'm going to start with this one here. So I'm going to click on this drag audio only button, and I'm going to pull it down and put it onto audio 1. Now, because I don't have any other audio on my track, I don't have to worry about it going over anything that I wouldn't want it to cover up, and I'm going to go ahead and see how that looks along with my footage as it is. So as I'm noticing this, I'm thinking, okay, this area here could go in slow motion, or we can do some sort of push-in, but I'm liking the way that the music is going along with the footage so far. So we're going to keep watching a little bit further. Now in this case, I don't think that there really needs to be too much music going on during these areas. I'm actually going to expand my track here by clicking here so that I can see my audio, and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so that I can see it. And we're going to back up here because I want to see how this works. I think that the intro was a little bit long in silence, so I'm going to pull that back, and then I'm going to pull my footage all the way over. I'm going to go back and watch this little bit beginning again. In this case, I think that we need a little bit more space here. So I'm actually going to grab my track select tool, and I'm going to grab this and push it down the line just a bit further. And then I'm going to make this next one get a little bit longer. In here, you'll notice that we do have a little bit of effects going on. I'm going to go up here to the effect control, and I'm going to adjust this so that the opacity levels are showing up a little bit later. Oh, but we saw our guy in there. So what we're going to do instead, we're going to take our slip tool, which is right here, and we're going to change the in and out points of that cut. So now if we back this up, the out point happens before we even go, but now our in point is still a little bit too far. So we're going to back that up, and I think that should be good there. Oh, but now we also have our opacity levels have changed. So we're going to go back in, and we're going to move these opacity levels back. And then at the end of the clip, we're going to pull this one back. And let's watch through. So we do need to have a little bit more of an out there for that 0. We're just going to throw that in there right there. And that should be good. I think I do want to have some sort of cross dissolve going on there. So we're just going to go into video transitions. We're going to go to dissolve, and we're going to go to cross dissolve here as well. Let's take a look. That was much better. Now I'm also going to bring this audio down just a little bit all the way through. It seems just a little bit too loud for what I'd like it to be doing. Okay, so we're going to go back to our normal key here. We're just going to pull this out, make it go just a little bit longer. And I think what we may end up doing here is doing a little bit of a push-in and a slow motion. See, I like how that might have lined up. Let's see here. Let's do that one more time. So that door needs to open when that pounding noise happens. So we're going to pull this back. We're going to change this here. And we're going to pull with our track select. And we're just going to pull the whole track back. Okay, let's try that again. That was much better. Now, if we want to go in and we want to slow this down, We're going to go ahead and cut. And again, we're going to use our track select tool. We're going to grab from here and we're going to move our track over. And then we're going to go back to our normal arrow, right click on our footage, and we're going to go to speed duration and change this to be a bit slower. Now, because we weren't working in any high frame rate, we can't slow it down too much because otherwise you're going to see a lot of those missing frames from in between. We shot at 24 frames per second, which is the slowest that you can shoot to have more of a cinematic feel. So we're going to try 80% here, and we're going to say okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom into it on a slow push. So we're going to turn on our toggle. We're going to start with 100%. And we're going to zoom in as we go. Okay, so we're just going to start with that there. That's a pretty quick push, and we're going to see how that goes. Okay, so now as we pull in, we're also going to turn on our position. So we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to turn on our position, and as we zoom in, we're also going to move over. So we're going to watch that again, because as we move in, we're centering in on him, but we want to be centering in on our main focus here. So we're going to move our footage over. We're just going to click on it and drag, or you can change those numbers if you know what the numbers are that you want it to be going to. And we're going to leave our vertical adjustment alone here. And we're just going to go right here and match that up. Okay, and we're going to watch through. And we're just going to do a little bit more of a zoom in as we go away. So we're going to click in here again, and we're just going to go up to just a little bit higher. And we're going to let that play out for quite some time. And we're also going to make sure that it still continues to move in towards him. So we're going to go to the end here, and we're just going to pull this back just a little bit more. And let's watch that again from the beginning. And then I think about here is when we can actually cut over and switch to our other footage. So I'm going to switch back over, and we're going to see a little bit more of this other part here. We're going to bring the music out a little bit longer because we're about to switch our music up. Now this music is telling the audience that there's something that's going to be happening. I'm going to grab my track select tool again, and I'm just going to grab the whole selection and pull it back. So again, we're showing our frustration as this is happening. And I think about now is when we're probably going to want to switch our music over pretty soon. And now we're going to get ready to switch that audio. So now he's going to be running, and now we're going to switch. So we're going to cut this audio down. We're just going to leave it alone for the moment, and we're going to pull this other audio back in. Remember, we're going to be using this one. So we're actually going to bring that in, and we're going to drop it down below the footage that we have already, and we're going to do a little bit of a J cut. So we're going to go ahead and start that off by changing its sound. We're going to go in here to Effect Controls while we're highlighted on the item that we want, and we're going to change the volume. Our keyframes are already toggled on, so we're going to go ahead and just click on Create a Keyframe, and we're going to lower that down quite a bit. I'm going to start off super quiet on this other footage, and we're going to start lowering our footage on this side. Remember, the keyframes are already on. We're going to start with that already down. We're going to bring it out here, and we're going to lower it down some more. Now this one's going to disappear, so we're not going to have to worry about it. And we're going to move on and see how the next one sounds as it comes up. So we're going to come out to about right when he starts running, and you actually get to see him. I'm going to bring that volume up. We're going to come down here. We're going to click on the correct one, and then we're going to bring that volume up right about where it's at there. So we're just going to bring that back up, and we're still going to keep it pretty low. Okay, let's go ahead and see how that sounds. We're going to go back a couple of frames and take a look. Again, I think that's a bit louder than we need it to be, so I'm going to go back to that last keyframe, and I'm just going to drop this down just a little bit. Now I want to have scary music going on again here, but I'm going to stop the tutorial here and let you guys figure out the rest. In order to change any of your audio, make sure that you're going up here into the effects control panel and using those keyframes. If you want to select a keyframe, you just click on it. If you want to get rid of it, you hit backspace. Go back and forth and toggle through them by clicking here, and you can always create a keyframe by clicking on this. Remember, if you click on anything or hover on anything in the program, it will automatically tell you what it is that you're looking at. We'll see you in the next tutorial where we're going to be talking about adjusting color and the size of your footage and adding in some of those slow push-ins like we did today with a little bit more detail. See you in the next one.